Okay, 3, 2, 1. 2, 1.
Oh.
Thank you.
what do they tell you? Well, when I was your age, we don't live like you do anymore when you were my age. What? You want me to use it now? Does it work? Whoa. I'm 6. Nobody's down there, and it's going to be really hot. 6. I don't have Pastor Candace's mic, because that mic I can talk into, and I'll be okay. You got me on 6? Okay. You good up there? No? I guess they need me to use the mic. Now, I know everybody's looking at me like, oh, you're crazy, you're a dad, you're just trying to be on the parent side. Ready? I'll step into my role when I was a teenager. I didn't listen to a word my parents said. I was out late at night. I didn't care. I'm not going to listen. You don't understand. Well, 34 years later, I look back and say, they really understood. Who in here says my relationship with my mom and my dad are great, but they never misunderstand me? I'll wait. I'll be waiting a long time, won't I? Some of the leaders, am I wrong? Your parents, if they're still here, you still are like, you're not understanding what I'm trying to say to you. It's never going to end. We have to be kids, young adults, teenagers. We have to be nice to our parents. They're not being hard on us. They just want us not to make the mistakes that they did. Okay? You understand. Look, she's looking like, I understand. So this is what it means. This is what it means. I finally get it. So next time you go to your room and go to slam the door and be like, you don't understand. No, they don't understand. You just have to say, I need a minute. Shut the door. And then explain. That's going to be your hardest relationship in life. Because it never, ever will change. You know why? Because in their eyes, I'm 34, I'm 300 pounds, and I tower over my mom. You know what she told me I was to her the other day? You're my baby and always will be. Huh? I'm grown. I pay my own bills. So remember that. The relationship that you will have that's the hardest will be with your parents. And remember, no, they don't understand because it's not 1965 to however old your parents are. Look, she looked at me like, I'm not that old. You're not, so just remember that. Go easy on your parents and find that person you can talk to. Because no, they don't understand.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. That's what I'm working on. I ain't going to say that. I don't say things I don't know what it means. All right. Turn that on. I got 7. Can you hear 7 good, Richard? Nope. I got 4. Talking to that one. What's that one? 6?
Number 5.
I got 5. We're all real dull still, right? All right, so here's what we're going to do. Des, come on up here. Get ready to go. Can you record for me as well? And you got one. And then where's your, let's see. All right, cool. No worries. All right, so Des has got a message for us. She's worked really hard on this. We want to give her all of our attention, and she's learning a hard lesson today about technical difficulties as well. So it happens to the best of us. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put lots of different things into place here. Okay. Goodbye. All right. Take it away, Des.
Well, hello guys. My name is Des, but my government name is Delise Medina. Okay, so today I get the privilege to preach to you guys. It is not about relationships. I'm not the one to go to about that topic. But, so I want to tell you guys a real story. True story. One night, me and my friend Abby, you guys have heard her preach before, we were actually reading the Bible. Not like playing around like, Dad, Mom, we were reading the Bible. That's why we were up till 2 a.m. We were actually reading the Bible. We were was having a different context, different fonts, everything. We were trying to look and see which one we preferred out of all these Bibles. And I don't know if your parents do this, but my father likes to announce when he's about to go to bed. He'll be like, hey, I'm going to bed. And for Hispanic, that means unless this house is on fire, do not get out of your room. And even if the house is on fire, unless Dad leaves the room, you're not leaving your room. I'm sorry to tell. The Spirit of God was in this place. Okay, so me and Abby are looking at each other, and Abby was just like, okay, I got a great idea. We're going to wait for him to fall asleep, you know? So we start reading the Bible even more, and then her mom texts her, and she's like, hey, when are you coming home? You know, you don't live at the Medinas. And we were very aware of that point. So Abby looks at me, and the fear in her face scared me because she looked at me serious, and she was like, I got a great idea. And I was like, okay, how many great ideas can you possibly have, you know? She looks at me, and she's like, I know how to get out of here. I'm like, okay, how? She's like, I could jump out of your window. And I was like, you know, honestly, that would probably be really cool. I live on a 2-story building, so that would be pretty legit. But before we make this decision, we should probably rock, paper, scissors it, because that's the most adult thing. Now, mind you, we're already touching 12 o'clock, so this is late night thoughts, you know. So we're doing rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Literally 10 or 15 minutes go by because God wanted us to have the same exact thing every single time. So we're looking at each other, and then Abby's mom texts again. And then that's when we realized we had to come with a decision. And Abby was still, I will jump out of the window to avoid your father. And I'm like, dude, I can't have you dying on my watch, you know, that would be pretty bad. So we ended up going down the stairs, and I was like, Abby, if you follow my feet, we may make it out of this alive. You know, how many of you guys, any midnight snackers here? Yeah, my people, thank you. How many of you guys know the exact steps to take so your stairs aren't creaking? Yes, okay, see, we have honest people here. So I know the same thing. So I was like, Abby, just follow my footwork and we'll be okay. We may live another day. And Abby was like, yeah, let's go. We're walking down the stairs, everything's going good. We have 2 flights of stairs at my house. And then all I hear is a, and I look back at Abby, she's looking at me. I look back at Abby, and she's looking at me. And then the next sound we hear is this. That was my father's footstep outside of the bed. And you want to talk about someone flying? I have never seen a woman fly down 5 steps, a whole flight, to avoid my father. She flew. She like glided. I'm sitting over here sprinting. I make it as far as the kitchen until I hear another noise. And that was my door. And I was like, why is there a door opening? Oh my gosh, my dad's gonna kill me. And it was my front door. You see, Abby had proceeded to glide and then proceeded to run out of my house, down the street back to her house. So needless to say, that was the night that I slept in my kitchen because I was not about to walk back up those stairs. So, how many of you guys have ever ran from something to avoid your consequences, ran from God because you did something that you know you shouldn't have done? How many of you guys have done that? How many of you guys want to be honest today? Okay? I see you, Alfredo. You're an honest man. Exactly. Okay, so I feel like I'm really hot to the speaker, so we're going to get the skinny girl to move this heavy thing. Okay, so today I wanted to show you guys a story. It's in John 4. Anyone have Bibles? How about this? Anyone has a phone? Hey, my man. So we are going to pull up on John 4, 3-4. We're talking about the Samaritan woman. Here it says, so he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. When he's talking about he, we're talking about Jesus. We're going to break this down. So the Bible just said he had to, right? This, my friends, is Judea. And then this is Galilee, right? Do. And Jesus was like Samaria. And now Samaria is right here. Sorry, I'm doing this fast. Now, when looking at this, logical, do you have to go through Samaria to get to here? No, you don't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on why Jesus had to go all the way over here. Now, I want you guys to remember this point when it said that he had to go through here. All right, now we're going to pick up in verse 7. It was about noon when a Samaritan woman came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." Jesus asked her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is who you are asking from for a drink, you would have asked him for living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with. This well is so deep. Where do you have this living water?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will spring up as a well of eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I will not thirst and have to keep coming here to draw water." He told her, "Go call your husband and come back." Now, to bring this into terms that we will all understand, Jesus is like, "Water." She's like, "Water." And then he's like, "More water." And she's like, "More water." And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, I want more water." And he's just like, "Hey, go get your husband." And she's like, "See, what happened was, I don't have a husband." If we pick it up, he says, "You are right. For what you said is true. You have no husband. In fact, you have 5 husbands. And the man you now have is not your husband. What you have said is quite true." Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I was in that situation and I was in that room and Jesus just called her out like that, it's kind of one of those moments like, "Ooh, Jesus, don't pull out the 9. Like, calm down. Like, we don't need to go there." Right? So then, Will's laughing in the back. He gets what I'm saying. So then, she proceeds to say, "Sir," the woman said, "I can see that you are a prophet of our ancestors worshipped on the mountains. But you Jews claim that the one place we must worship is in Jerusalem." "Woman," Jesus replied, "believe me, a time is coming where you will worship the Father near on this mountain, nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritan women, what you do not know, we worship what we do know. Salvation is for the Jews." Now, the thing is later on in the story, she goes back to her town. And the thing is, the Samaritan literally avoided this time to be able to confront people because she was running from her sin. She literally went to the well at the hottest part of the day to avoid her sin that she had committed. When she went back to this town, everyone believed what she had said because of her testimony. Now, for you guys, it may be you feel too far gone. You feel like, I'm not even worth being rescued from out here. Or maybe you're like, dude, I'm not even here. I'm all the way over here. There is no point for Jesus to rescue me. I'm not even worth rescuing. There was a time in my life where I hit a complete rock bottom. I had a completely bad fallout with this person, and I didn't think that I could ever be myself again. And then when I finally thought I could, I got a phone call. Now, this phone call was the phone call that my friend was about to die. And I was really close with this person for many years. They're the ones who got me into worship leading. And my heart sank. I hung up the phone, not understanding why God was doing this to me. Why now? Why, when I couldn't change who I was, why would you put this obstacle in my life yet again? And then not even a minute later, his mom calls me. and I broke. I ended up shaving my head. He had cancer. I fell into this depression, and I felt as if I couldn't get out of it, you know? But pain does something different to me. It doesn't break me down like a lot of people. It builds me up. And so I picked up a job. I was working 6 out of 7 days a week, 11 to 13 hours per day, to try to numb this pain inside of me. And then it was one day after a long shift, after my past getting brought up yet again, feeling like I could not move forward. It was that time when I broke. There was no recovery at that point. I had broke. I was on my knees. I was crying to God, God, you can't use me anymore. I am too broken. I'm too broken to be used. You need to find someone else. I know you have this calling on my life, but I'm used, I'm dirty, I'm upset. I can't be used anymore. But it was when I was looking down that I didn't know that all I had to do was get up. And right behind me was God, waiting for me. You see, Jesus didn't have to go here. He didn't. But the woman was there. He knew the woman's story. God is always pursuing you, no matter how far you are off, no matter how far you are from Him and His path for you. He is always still pursuing you. My favorite part about this story is 13, when He said, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. For the water I give them will give them eternal life. The reason why I like this verse so much is because Jesus didn't say, I will give them the water if they are perfect, if they are holy. He said, I will give them eternal life. I will give them the water. God didn't send Jesus to die for us, for perfect people. The church is not for perfect people. We're sinners. We're broken. And God sent His Son to die for us for that very reason. There would be no reason if we were perfect. There would be no reason to live if it was just perfection. There would be no reason. You see, if God can use a murderer, a thief, a thirsty woman, demon-possessed people, leopards, if He can use all of these people, then surely He can use you. The thing is He was right. We do live in a different time. Our parents don't understand. They don't know what's faced at us in schools because it wasn't faced to them then. They don't know what it's like to be on online classes. They don't. My friend Abby, she was preaching the other day about living like it's your last day. The thing is I don't know about you, but if it was my last day, I wouldn't want to be here. I wouldn't want to be broken and let the devil win. I would rather be standing up, turning around, and running towards God. Because we aren't promised tomorrow. We could die, heaven forbid, and never be able to feel the grace of God, of His love, because we are so destined to run away from it. Yet it's always there. All you have to do is turn around. So I'll ask and leave you guys with this question tonight, and it'll be the last thing I say. When are you going to turn around and let God use you? Because you are good enough. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Des. Great job. Thanks for pushing through those technical difficulties. Shout out to Danny for being an awesome keyboard player as well. That is hot. You are right. That is a hot mic. Okay, let's see. I think this other one's still turned on. All right, so we're going to go to our groups now, our group check-in. What we're going to do, Connor and Eileen are going to serve the donuts that Madison brought. Madison, stand up, or you don't have to stand up, but at least wave to everybody. Everybody say, thanks, Madison. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to send you by group to, you can stop by there, grab a donut, and head to your area. So 10th grade and up, we're going to be in the gym. So if you guys want to line up there, grab a donut, and head down to the gym. The chairs are all set up and everything, and I'll be there in just a couple minutes. So you need some, you got it? 10th grade and up, 10th grade and up. All right. And then, well, I don't need to tell them because they're my group. Everybody else, we're going to try to be back here, so you're going to have to skip your second game for this portion. We're going to try to be back here at like 8:08 or something along those lines. 8:08, 8:10, something like that. All right, so one game, and then the questions should suffice. It should get us there. 9th grade, all 9th graders, you guys can line up, and you're going to go, actually, you're going to get your donut and then head on to the back. And that's going to be Ashley and Jennifer this time with the 9th graders. You guys don't want donuts? The donuts are over here. They're not back there. All right. And then we're going to have all of the middle schoolers stick together tonight. And you guys can choose if there's enough seats out there, you can go out there, or if you want to just hang out in here, you can do that. All right. Okay, and that's going to be Richard, Jeff, Eileen, and Connor are going to be with the middle schoolers. Your stuff is right there.
Ask Pastor Ian, he'll tell you.
Probably about to talk about it right now. All right, ninth graders, if you're done, you can come back because we're about to roll. Is this something I'm doing wrong up here, Mike? Is why this thing is howling at me? Oh, okay. Yeah, apparently. Hey, Abby. All right, is everybody back? Oh, we got to hit them all. My bad. Okay, so we got like 20 minutes. No, not even 20 minutes. We got 15 minutes to run through about 25 minutes of material. So I'm going to cut some stuff on the fly, and I'm going to talk through some stuff. But so everybody in your groups, you got the opportunity to rate your current relationship with your parents. In our group, some people had an 8 or a 9, some people had a 5. I told y'all that at my age, at y'all's age, my relationship was probably in the 3 or 4 range with my parents. If you had asked me then to rate what kind of score it was, for a variety of reasons that I'm going to tell you right now, actually, right? Because Jeff has already kind of set this stage for us. Y'all got to tell me when I got a chin strap on, man. Yeah, thanks. He already kind of set the stage for us that parents aren't going to understand because, we are, I can't speak. We are always going to be from different generations, right? Like the world, like he's saying, the world that I grew up in is not the world that y'all live in, and it's not the world my son and my sons and daughter are going to grow up in. But on both sides, more effort can be made. But tonight, we are going to answer a question that somebody asked a couple weeks ago called, how can I have a better relationship with my parents? Speaking of questions, Abby went to go look for the questions cards. I forgot to grab them and bring them in here. She should be back at some point. So if you have questions about stuff that we're talking about tonight, you can grab one of those question cards once she finds it and write that question. Somebody whispering to me? Oh, okay. I thought somebody was like, Ian. But it was a sneeze, so okay, I feel better now. Anyways, so here we go. Just real quick synopsis of my relationship with my parents when I was your age. I felt for sure like they were way too strict, right? Because I was telling somebody this story the other day. I was about 14 or 15 years old. I was over at my friend's house. We live in a town of 3,500 people, okay? That's the total number of people who live in the entire town. Fayetteville, for context, Fayetteville's not that big of a town. It has 200 and something thousand people who live in it. We had 3,500 people in our town, okay? You pretty much know everybody who is in your town at that point, or know somebody who knows them. And my friend lived less than a football field length away from the convenience store. And at 14 years old, my mom's like, nah, you can't go. You can't walk down the sidewalk in the middle of the day in a tiny little town to the convenience store, because what if you get mugged or decide to buy drugs or whatever. Like, I don't know what her reason was, but she's like, you can't go, okay? There was so many shows and movies I was not allowed to watch because my parents were just strict, right? That was my view of them. I wasn't allowed to have video games. We didn't get our first video game system, a PlayStation 1. Yes, that's how old I am. We didn't get a PlayStation 1 until I was probably about 14 or 15 years old, and then my brothers hogged it the whole time. Playing Crash Bandicoot. You couldn't find it? That's okay. It's no worries. We'll have them next week. If you do have a question, you can, there's groups cards all over the place. Just write it on the back of that groups card. Write your question. All right, I thought they were too stern, right? Not only strict, but stern. I had more chores than all my friends. I didn't get an allowance like most of my friends did. I had to do extra chores if I ever wanted to raise money. one time, my dad, as punishment for me being disrespectful to my mom, he made me miss a basketball game when it was going to be my time. It was going to be my first start of the season. He's like, too bad you're not going. I was so mad that day. Anyways, I was scared. All right, I was scared of my parents because they were hard to talk to, especially my dad. Really, both of them, though, were, in my view at that time, were hard to talk to because I was afraid of their reaction. I was afraid that if I was honest with them, that they would kind of flip out on me. And I was afraid of disappointing them. Like, again, I was like, well, if I tell you what I really think or what I want to do, if I ask you this question or whatever, then you might be disappointed. And so I was scared. And I really felt like they were unfair. I remember my junior year, I was begging my parents to let me go to high school. In public school because I was homeschooled because I wanted to play on that basketball team. That basketball team was good, but I played with those guys. I was like, I'm as good as them. Please let me go. And they would not let me go for whatever reasons they had. And then once I turned 18, 19 years old, I was still living at home. And my dad's like, hey, you want to still live here? You're going to pay me rent. It's like, for what? To live in your room. What? I was mad, bud. Okay? And so that's very, very brief synopsis of kind of my relationship with my parents in my teenage years. We didn't see eye to eye at all, like Jeff was saying. We did not understand one another in any way. To be fair, I was a really weird kid, so very few people existed who understood me at that time. But we were not on the same wavelength 100%. All right? And even now, though, looking back, I can see what I felt was strict, whether I agree with their decisions or not. What I felt was strict. My parents were trying to be safe. Right? They were trying to protect me from whatever they thought was going to happen on the way to the convenience store. They were trying to protect me, though, from being exposed to ideas or concepts in movies and shows that they felt like they didn't want me to watch. Whether I agree with that or not, I understand now where that was coming from. It was coming from this desire to keep me safe, right? And what I thought was stern was a desire to provide me with structure. Right? They wanted to instill values in me of hard work and earning what you get and teaching me the difference between right and wrong. And I still say to this day that if my dad had not charged me rent my freshman year of college, that I would be a totally different person because it prepared me for adulthood. That doesn't mean I wasn't entirely angry with him when it was happening, but now I understand a little bit better. When I was scared of them, I feel like this is going to be the weird one for some of y'all to hear, but I really believe they were scared too. In a different way. They were scared of messing me and my brothers up. Parenting is hard. Okay, I've been doing it for about 8 years now. And it's not fun. It's the most challenging job in the world. You could read as many books as you want, but you live in constant, not terror, but you're constantly worried like, man, what if I make the wrong decision and screw this kid's life up? And so you have this constant battle within yourself. What's the right thing to do? If I let him do this, then this might happen. If I don't let him, then that might. We're always kind of arguing with ourselves, and we're scared of messing our kids' lives up. And my parents, I believe, were that. I was the first child they'd ever had. They don't know how to parent. And guess what? Even though they had 2 more kids after me, those kids were completely and entirely different people than me, so they don't know how to parent those kids necessarily either. Everything that a parent does is learning on the fly and guesswork because we're trying to do right by our kids, but we don't know what we're doing any better than you do in a lot of instances. And we can lean on wisdom and experience and all that kind of stuff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, but it's hard. And I also learned from them that they had high expectations from me, and that's why I was scared of disappointing them or letting them down or whatever else. But they also had a lot of grace for me, more than I think I realized in the moment, in the time. Because I did mess up a lot. I did a bunch of stupid things. And they still loved me. They forgave me. They kind of gave me consequences like missing my basketball game, and they set me on the right path. And the other thing, even though I thought that they were unfair, they were steadfast, right? They stood firm in their decisions. And I still don't agree with all their choices, and we've had some conversations about that since then. But I'm thankful, at the end of the day, I'm thankful for the love and the concern that motivated those decisions, whether I agree with them or not. Everything that they did for me was about my safety, about providing me with structure and character. And yes, they were scared of messing me up sometimes too, but they provided me with a steadfast source of protection, provision, and all that kind of stuff. So here's the thing. We've got maybe 10 minutes left, not even that. And so we'll come back to this topic of parents and that kind of stuff later on in our series. But the relationship between parents and their kids is a two-way relationship. And so I'm not going to say tonight in the next 6 or 8 minutes that I can give you all the tools you need to fix your relationship with your parents if yours is not as good as what you wish it was. Okay? But I do believe that in most cases, if you begin to implement some of the things that we're going to talk about very, very quickly tonight, that your relationship with your parents will get better, but you have to actually do it. So many times I had people in my life who would tell me ways that I could make my relationship with my parents better, and I would sit there and I would nod my head and I would and sometimes I'd even take notes, and I would do absolutely zero of those things. Okay, if you really want your relationship with your parents or anybody to get better, you have to initiate that. You have to take that first step, and then especially with your parents, I promise you, if you do it in good faith and you do it without expecting anything in return, they will reciprocate. That relationship will improve even if you're the one who's taking the first step or the one who feels like you're taking the first step. But I want you to understand, I'm not putting the full responsibility of your relationship with your parents on you. It is a two-way street, and I'm not one of those people who's going to pretend that it's any conflict with parents and kids is 100% on the kid, because that's not true. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 30-70, sometimes it's 80-20 towards the parent. But we understand that, and there's going to be different aspects for each of your relationships with your parents. Okay, but I do want to look at the words of Apostle Paul about the relationship between kids and parents in Ephesians 6:1-3. He says, "Children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord. For this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother." This is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on the earth. So, real quack. What are we, ducks? Real quick, obey your parents. What does that mean, obey? Somebody tell me what it means to obey your parents. What? Listen and what? We're not there yet. That's coming. Do what they say. Yes. Obey is to do what they say. So the first thing the Apostle Paul said is, children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord, or in some versions he says, in the Lord, for this is the right thing to do. So what he's saying is, do what your parents say because you belong to the Lord. He's saying obedience to your parents is part of your obedience to God. It is part of your calling as a Christ follower. If you between the ages of 0 and 18, and really even beyond that if you still live in your parents' house, if you are between the ages of 0 and ain't moved out yet, you need to obey your parents by doing what they say, okay? If they say pay rent, you got to do it. That's what you had to do. Now, listen though, here's the deal, okay? Real quick, just quick disclaimer, do not obey your parents if they tell you to do things that are illegal or immoral. That's where it's saying, where it says, because you belong to the Lord or in the Lord. If your parents are asking you to do things that you know go against God's will, you don't have to do that, and you also need to tell somebody. But in almost every scenario, that's not going to be the case. All right? Then he says, because it's the right thing to do. What he's basically saying there, this is the natural order of things, is for children to obey their parents. This is the way that creation and society is supposed to work. Our culture is built on the idea of children obeying their parents. Not just in humans, but if you think about in the animal kingdom, what the natural thing that happens is the parents say do it, and then the children do it. Whether it's monkeys or dolphins or lions or whatever, however they're communicating with one another, the children do what the parents say. All right, and so that's the way that God has set in place this order, is for the children to obey their parents. Now listen, we live in a broken world. Our parents are sinful and broken people just like we are. Sometimes they don't do things the way that God would have them do them, and we need to obey them to the fullest extent of our ability. But the next thing that Paul says is really the big thing, and we are going to go a few minutes over again tonight, but I'm going to cover this as quickly as I can, okay? He says, he's quoting one of the 10 Commandments when he says, honor your father and mother. He continues and says, this is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on earth. So what does that mean to honor your father and mother? This is, what did you say before? Respect, okay? What else? What do you think that means, honor? There's a difference here between obedience and honor. And some of us have talked about this before. Wilfredo. Okay, yeah, we're going to cover that in a second. Yeah, so here's the deal. Obedience is to do what they say, right? Honor is to do what they say in a respectful manner. or in a way, in showing your appreciation for them, like Wilfredo said, there's a difference between, hey, can you take out the trash? I always have to do this. Whatever. I mean, that's how I used to do it. I don't know about you guys. My parents, can you wash the dishes? It's now my turn. Whatever. All right. But you get it. There's a difference between, that's obedience because I still did it. I took out the trash. I did what you told me to do, but it's not honor. Okay? It's not honoring your parents. It's just simple obedience. And I looked up this Greek word, honor, and it means to revere or to venerate. Those are really big words. And so then I looked up those words because I didn't know what they meant for sure. And revere is respect and admiration. Okay? And we don't have enough time to go into as deep into this as I want to, but I do want to spend about 2 minutes talking about this, okay? Respect. What does respect look like? What does that mean? Talk louder. Okay, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Those are some actions that demonstrate respect. Where does respect reside? Does it come from our actions or does it come from our attitude? It comes from our attitude, right? And it can be really hard to respect our parents when they're doing stuff that we don't like and they're telling us no all the time, or they're making us go to a school that we don't want to go to, or they're making us do extracurricular stuff that we don't want to be part of, or they're telling us no, you can't go to this place with these people because of these reasons, and we want to get angry and we want to get mad and we want to be like, you just don't understand, this isn't fair, blah blah blah. And sometimes we are right. Sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense. But we have to remember and get back to this place of honoring our parents, not just obeying them, not just abiding by their wishes because God says we have to, but honoring and respecting them for who they are. And listen, guys, I wish that I would have listened to the people in my life who told me this 20 years ago. I wish that I would have looked not just at my parents' decisions, but the motivation behind them. I wish that I wouldn't have been terrified of their reactions or their disappointment, and instead would have been honest with them about my struggles so that they could have helped me so I wouldn't have to sink deeper into what I was dealing with. And listen, they weren't the most approachable people. And sometimes they were going to react in a way that was going to have an adverse effect on me. And so I don't want to tell you everybody's parents are different. So I'm not sitting here saying if you don't do these things that you're a bad person. But what I'm saying is I wish that I had done everything that I could sooner to demonstrate honor and respect to my parents and to help heal our relationship, because then things would be better even now. It may not be great still, but at the very least, I would not have to be sitting here with you guys at 35 and a half years old wondering, what if? What if I had been a little more respectful? What if I had been a little more honorable? What if I had been a little more honest? What if my attitude wasn't always so sour and negative? What if I hadn't spent the entire vacation that they saved up for an entire year to take my family on grumbling in the backseat of our Suburban because I wanted to go somewhere else? What if I had been more grateful? What if I had been more appreciative of what I did have instead of complaining about what I didn't have? What if instead of being angry that I didn't get the Nike Air Foamposites and had to get the Chris Webber Dada shoe, that I had some shoes on my feet and was able to play basketball in the first place? I don't have the answer to those questions as to how my relationship with my parents would have changed or how it would have been different, but I believe that it would have been. And then I want to look at this idea, and we're out of time, but I want to look at this idea of admiration. If we're called to honor our parents, yes, that means obey. Yes, it means respect. But it means there needs to be an element of admiration in our relationship with our parents. To admire someone means what? To look up to them, to appreciate them, to think highly of them. Right? I'm not saying you need to sugarcoat your parents' flaws or pretend like they're perfect people, because we all know they aren't, okay? They're going to make mistakes. But when is the last time that any of us sat back and thought about man, look at all the stuff they do for me. Maybe they don't do as much as they should. Maybe they don't do as much as your friends' parents do. Maybe they don't do as much as they used to. Maybe they don't do enough. Because again, everybody's parents are different. But if you look hard enough, you're going to find something about your parents to admire. How hard they work, how dedicated they are to their craft, how selflessly they've sacrificed for you and your siblings. Whatever else it might be, because I don't know your parents to the degree that you do. And at the end of the day, what I want you to consider, and what I really think is going to help us honor our parents, and what I really think is going to help us improve our relationship with our parents, is consider their humanity. Okay, because it's really hard when you're 11, 12, 14, 18, whatever age you guys are. It's really hard to really see your parents as human beings with needs and wants and struggles and difficulties and challenges. My parents worked really hard to hide all of that from me. They wanted me to see them as strong and trustworthy and a source of safety and confidence. But they were hurt. There were sometimes, I guarantee you, they would never let me know. But when I was complaining about not having the shoes that I wanted, they were like, man, we got to choose between going out on a date this month or buying Ian those shoes that he needs for basketball. There were moments when I was complaining I wanted to go on this vacation and all we get to do is go to Tennessee. They were like, they saved up, like I said, for a year in order to accomplish that. So consider your parents' humanity. And what I mean by that is the way that you speak to them, I'm not sitting here saying you have to agree with everything that they say, because like Jeff said, they're not going to understand. But try to translate a little bit more instead of just getting angry. And that goes both ways. I love his advice to, instead of, blowing just blowing up right away and slamming your door and screaming, just try it. And I understand it's not easy, but try to say, okay, go away. Breathe, scream into your pillow, think, talk. Respect their humanity, because the things that would hurt your feelings if someone did those things to you, think about how, I guess that's what I'm saying. Think about how you would feel if one of your friends treated you the way that you sometimes treat your parents. It would tear you up inside. And now understand that your parents love you 10 times, 100 times more than you love your friends, because they either birthed you or were there while you were birthed, and they've sacrificed so much for you. And I know that's not an image anybody wanted to think about tonight, and I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm not trying to be this guy who's up here like, I'm a parent now, so I'm on the side of the parents. No, I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. One of my great blessings, one of the things I love most about this job, right, is I get to sometimes be a bridge between students and parents. I'm getting to be where I'm about the same age as some of y'all's parents, but because I spend so much time with so many of you guys, I'm able to understand your perspective in a way that maybe your parents aren't able to, and so we can translate. But the one thing that I know as a parent, as a student, and as someone who counsels with a lot of different parents, if you want to improve your relationship with your parents, think about their humanity. Think about the fact that they have feelings and desires and wants and needs and all that kind of stuff too. And I guarantee you, every single one of them, however bad of a job you feel like they do of showing it, every single one of your parents, the number one desire they have in their life is for you to be successful and happy. And so if you feel like that relationship is broken, we can work together. Myself and the other leaders, we would love to help you. But my challenge to you this week is to find something you can do to let your parents know you appreciate the fact that they're trying. Okay? And I don't mean just this week, but every week. Find something you can do to let them know you appreciate the fact that they're trying. Even if it's something like, hey, thank you for driving me to church, or thank you for cooking this dinner, or whatever. Just stuff that if someone said it to you, you'd be like, man, they actually noticed. That's pretty cool. Find some ways to let them know that you see them trying to love you. And when you do that, they're going to be a lot more willing to listen to when you try to explain to them the ways that love isn't really connecting, or that those efforts aren't really working the way that you need them to. Am I making sense? I'm really trying to cram this in, but do you guys understand what I'm saying? All right. So if you have more questions, we've got 2 more weeks planned for this relationship series, at least 1 more week for sure. But if you have more questions, you can write them on the back of those groups cards and just drop them up here on the thing. I'm going to pray for you guys. Appreciate your patience as we went overtime again, and I can't wait to keep this series going. We got 2 more weeks because next week's our series is the relationship with God, and look, it's been a long time since I've been as excited about a message as I am about the one next week, because God's already started showing me stuff for this message next week. How many of y'all are at least a little bit confused about the concept of a relationship with God who you can't see or speak to physically? Like, how am I supposed to have a relationship with somebody I can never? Okay. I know I used to be when I was your age. On some degrees, I still am. And we're going to really kind of blow that whole idea wide open and explain kind of what that really means for us as Christ followers. So make sure you're here next week. And if you have those questions, submit them. Let's pray. Hey, God, I just thank you for every single one of these students and the leaders, but also thank you, God, for all of the parents who helped, I'm trying to think of an appropriate word here, bring into existence the students that are with us tonight. God, I thank you, whether we have good parents, bad parents, in-between parents, God, I thank you that our parents are trying. And I pray that this week you would help each of us, our students, and even the adult leaders in this room, to find a way to appreciate our parents in ways we haven't before. To remember that they're human too, and they're doing the best that they can, even when we don't agree with them or don't think that their efforts are connecting, that you would just give us patience, but also that you give us the opportunity to recognize their efforts and appreciate them, and that then they would reciprocate and be willing to kind of hear out some of the things that we need to say, and that this would be the beginning of building up the relationship between us and our parents. God, we thank you and praise you, and in your name we pray. We all said, amen. All right, you guys are awesome. Make sure you thank Madison for the donuts because she's the best. And if you have any more questions, text them, and we'll talk more about parents because I feel like we really rushed that one. But thanks, you guys. I'll see you next week.